sometimes we will propose stuff that doesn't work. And that's okay. Life is made of right and wrong and things that go well and things that don't. Ups and downs. And it has to be genuine. Sometimes we say, oh, you're making so much progress, and you don't really see it. It has to be genuine. We have to tell them they're making progress when they actually are. Even if progress is very little, but it has to be genuine. Yes. Give them some concrete evidence of their progress. Look, before in the first task you said this, now look at what you said. A good technique for them to see their own progress, if you're able to use phones in your contexts, you can get them to record their voices when they're doing the task. When they listen to it in the beginning and when they listen to it in the end, it's most probably going to be better. Well, considering your speaking lessons, I'll go back to the questions in the beginning. When designing a speaking lesson, what do you consider? Is there anything different that you would consider now? What kind of speaking activity do you believe would be suitable for your learners? And thinking of the specific task, the specific lesson, would you make any changes to this thing that you did, what you discussed in the beginning? 3 more minutes? Can I interrupt you? Hilda was telling me the same thing. What's your name again? Yeah? Olivia. The same thing that Olivia was saying before, that they sometimes have no opinion. You say something and they're like, oh, okay. Oh, I don't know. And I was thinking of the story. What's your name again? Julio, yeah. I remembered. I forgot, but I remembered. And I was thinking of what Hilda and Olivia were telling me about students not having opinions and Julio's student who wanted to talk about sex. I know it's a very extreme topic, but sometimes all you need is one, good trigger for them to start. In my case, it was politics. After we started talking about it, any topic would be before it was a kind of boring situation. I'm not saying talk about politics, talk about sex. I'm not saying that. But sometimes thinking of what could cause maybe a little bit of impact or controversy with silly things. If you ask them, what's your favorite film? Oh, I don't know. Seriously, if you ask me what's my favorite film, I don't know. Do you know?
I know.
Well, I don't know. You guys have favorite films. But the thing is, if you ask them, what film did you hate? You'll see some talking. And then, same thing for music. What kind of music do you like? Everything. Pop. Whatever. What music don't you like? And then you have to be careful, like my students, to disagree politely and so on, because you might offend somebody else. But this might be the kind of twist to a task to get them to jump and wake up. Well, a very important step for us as teachers is evaluating things that we do. And we are thinking about it all the time. Every day when we leave and go home, we're thinking, this was good, this was terrible. We do that consistently. And it's so important, self-reflection. Did it work? Did it not? Why not? And then we, myself included, we tend to have this, the students didn't want to talk about it. The students don't like the topic. The students have no opinions. The students. My personal opinion, these are our students, and that's it. We have to deal with them in the best way possible. So usually when I reflect, I think of what could I have done differently? What was the topic wrong? Were my instructions weird? What happened? Was my, I don't know, the things that I did, were they not effective? Were they not engaging? What could I have done differently? I guess that's the main question. What could I do? For us to, I know us teachers, we're very responsible people. But we need to take responsibility for that. And I know the students have a little bit of impact. But, for instance, when I told you I had the speaking lesson about Netflix, and I was shocked that they didn't talk. They didn't watch the series. But it was actually my fault, because I didn't realize that they didn't. Do you see what I mean? And sometimes I know that we are tied to a curriculum, to a course book, as we were discussing in Rubinho's session. I know sometimes it's inevitable. We have to use it, and that's it. But what can we adapt or twist to cause some commotion, I guess? I'm thinking of some questions maybe to help you reflect. To what extent are my students moving closer to the priorities that I set? Are they better able to interrupt each other more politely? Are they better able to avoid the vocabulary that they don't know? This, for me, is very important in terms of designing a task. Did this task help them improve in the things that they need to improve? Did they perceive progress? Because sometimes we do, but they don't. That's very important as well. Yes, Olivia?
When you said something about self-reflection, is it implied feedback to the student then?
Actually, this I mean internal. We could give feedback to the students, because it would actually be very interesting, because if we tell them, okay, last class it worked like this, or it didn't work, and then today let's try this and let's see what happens.
Is that according to that question?
Yeah.
So if they receive feedback, they can perceive.
Absolutely. And then asking, can I perceive their progress? Or did they start the lesson here and finish here? Sometimes in 50 minutes, it's so hard to perceive progress. But do I see a little bit of anything that is significantly better than before, you know? In terms of evaluating the lessons, what I told you before, these were my insights. Why don't my students improve? I felt that from the moment I started dealing with speaking in this manner, I felt more improvement. And I was actually a very frustrated teacher some years ago because I didn't see students progressing. And then this made a big impact on me as a professional as well, because I feel more motivated to plan lessons, because they feel more motivated to participate. It's a two-way street. But then we always have to consider, are we developing speaking? Are we catering for their needs? Or are we just teaching a lesson that we planned? You see what I mean? It's looking at them and considering them, which is so hard and time-consuming and stressful, but it's so worth it. In terms of ongoing assessment, we can do our self-reflection and we can get assessment of the lesson from students. And then we have to be so patient, so flexible, so resilient. Because they might say, I didn't like it. But why not? It was boring. I don't see the purpose. Sometimes the feedback is bluff. But then we have to, it's hard for us teachers, we have to separate the lesson from us. It's not us. And taking this feedback in as positively as we can, let's say, for us to improve. If we ask them for consistent feedback, they will start to be able to provide us with better feedback. The first time we ask, they'll say, oh yeah, it was nice, or oh no, it was boring. Okay. But then maybe the second, the third, the fifth, the 10th, they'll start to become more critical. So they'll start giving us valuable information about the lessons that we do and the tasks that we propose. So it's very important for us to consider what they have to say as well, even though sometimes it's very tough to hear. If you prefer, you can ask them to write a sentence about, asking simple things like, what was the best part of the lesson today in your opinion? What was the worst? And then, don't take it personally. Because when you ask, what was the worst thing today? They'll tell you. Maybe you don't have to be so direct. You can ask them, for example, what was one thing that you would have liked to do today, but we didn't? And they can feed you with some brilliant ideas. It's very, very important for us to listen to them. It guides us to do the following lessons, to design them. And there are lots of things that we can ask them. We can ask them about difficulties, what was difficult, what was easy. Simply asking them, was the lesson today easy, medium, or difficult? It helps us. It's simple stuff. Are the lessons catering for your needs? Adults especially, they have very clear needs. If they enjoy the approach, the way that you are structuring the lessons, and if they don't, can we change it a little bit? Sometimes the institutions that we work for, they are very strict, on the approach. But sometimes we can make some minor changes to make things more interesting for them. Are they enjoying the materials, the tasks, the content? We can ask, one day one thing, one day something else, and then we'll start to gather this valuable information. Well, considering all of this, what we can do, if you want, I strongly recommend it. It was the beginning of the change in my career, so I'm recommending it to everybody. CELTA course. It's very, very good. And you have fantastic tutors like Rubinho. He was here, and then he went over there for the CELTA course today. The CELTA course was actually my first contact with how to teach speaking, because before that I had no idea. So I strongly recommend it. If you haven't done it yet, it gives you very solid basis. It's a good investment. Guys, it was a huge pleasure. Thank you for your participation. If you want some references, there's some reference on designing courses, on assessment, on teaching speaking. This is a very accessible book in terms of reading and understanding things easily. Task-based learning. It's very clear as well. strongly recommend some of them. Good options, Disal blog, Richmond blog. If you have any questions, I don't have this beautiful thing like Rubinho was, that was so good, next time. But you have here my email if you want to bounce ideas. Thank you.